Guess we'll do a little impromptu garden tour. So over here is one of the garlic beds. I harvested the scapes the other day and turning those into garlic powder and garlic salt. This bed is actually going to be moved once the garlic is out of here. There's another one over there, but we're kind of reconfiguring the garden. After growing here, this is what, the third? I think this is the third season. Realized that like originally we had like a little structure here and I was going to grow grapes. The problem is it's hard to tell, but there's actually a low spot right here. And in the very early spring, it floods pretty bad and it takes a really long time for it to dry out. And it actually like comes all the way in probably about 8 feet or so. And this was originally a bed too, but you can see I'm not really planting anything over here. This is all kind of just weeds growing through. The only thing that survived, I had a little bit of lovage over here, and this is the only one that popped up. So not a good spot, gets too wet and soggy for too long. So we're kind of shifting everything backwards that way. And we're starting to do some raised beds also to help raise up the dirt level. So it's not so saturated for so long and allows me to plant more faster. So over here we had tomatoes here last year, and as you can see it's afternoon. Sorry, I'm getting a message. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. Real life. So here you can kind of see where it dips, like see right there, and then it dips and then it gets low. So we're gonna bring the garden this way. I did plant things like already before we decided this. Like we decided this in very early spring, and some things were already planted like the garlic. But this garlic raised bed thing that we threw together real quick, that's once the garlic's out in about a month or so, we're gonna disassemble that and regrade, because there's going to be a lot of dirt there, and just kind of smooth it out a little bit. And we won't be using that again. So here, this whole little berm thing is mainly perennials, and that's going to stay because it's up. We have some currants here. There's marshmallow. There's also some marshmallow over there because this area stays wet, so it likes that type of environment. We've got comfrey, and then these are hascaps or honeyberries, and I've got just some random flowers, and there's some perennial fennel here and there. So these will stay. Probably will plant maybe like a fruit tree here. Forget what I had there, but it's going to be just like a perennial type bed. So the garlic will be out. This will all get smoothed over. This, we had kind of like a little bit of a hugelkultur situation, but that structure that we had is gone. We moved the grapes. So you can see we have these posts here, and we did a little bed here, and we're going to do another one here, and this will be probably blackberries with a trellis. And then we moved the grapes to over here, and I need to build a better support system. I just needed something quick, so I just used this like laundry line stuff. But these are green grapes here, and then put just some random stuff here. So we've got some chamomile. There's some pumpkins and squash throughout here. The pumpkins, I'll have them go that way so they can grow along the fence line. Some chervil that is bolting because we're going to be in the 90s for the next few days. Still smells good though. These, I don't know, I forget what kind of squash these are. They might be the mashed potato squash, and they are not happy. And I don't really know why, because everything else looks good. I'll hit them with a dose of nitrogen, because you can see the leaves are a little yellow. This is not powdery mildew. This is kaolin clay. You spray it on. So that's why some of these things have like a whitish tint, because it's just to deter biting pests, you know, like slugs and stuff. You can see some things were getting chewed on, so I hit them with some of that kaolin clay. We've got some stock flowers here. Those are more pumpkins that are looking a little yellow, so I'll hit those with some more nitrogen. I've got some echinacea, and then I also popped in some dahlias into this bed, and you can see they're already gonna start producing, so that's exciting. And then this one here is a red grape. These are both table grape varieties. I don't remember the exact variety, but, and then more echinacea, and then there's some yarrow here too. So yeah, this box, I just plugged in a bunch of random things. Over here was going to be more, we were originally, like I said, we were originally going to extend the garden this way, but because this area stays very wet, this is the low spot, and it really has poor soil. We decided against that for growing food, at least. We are going to continue to work on fixing this soil. Right now it's very clay, it's very dense, and it stays wet. So for this year, for this season at least, we just threw down some fabric walkways, and I am doing a lot of fall cut flowers here. We're going to start offering those at our farm stand. So I did a lot of deep rooted things. So like there's succession of sunflowers, there is some broom corn, there's some, what's it called? It's a decorative wheat. These are all just mainly for cut flower bouquets. So these are very like long, dense, rooted plants that will hopefully help add some aeration to this soil. Like right now it looks, this is interesting. Oh no, those are the holes. Okay, so right now it looks dry because we haven't had rain in a while, but this is very squishy, dense clay typically. So I built this little teepee structure just real quick, and I put some lima beans at the bottom of those. This is the other garlic bed, but we won't be doing garlic here again. And then this originally was a berm that I had like herbs and my fruit trees, but I ended up relocating the fruit trees, and right now it's just a weedy mess, and I will tarp it to kill this off. Right now I'm just doing this section, and I'm filling it in with some shrubs that I can use for cut flowers. So basically the idea is this is eventually going to be a perennial cut flower area. I've got some peonies over here, and I also plugged in some lupins or lupines over there. So this will eventually be, once we can get the soil in better shape, this will eventually be a perennial cut flower area. Oh, got a lot of little garden snakes everywhere, which is good. Like to see that. So I got these on clearance at Lowe's, and these are some red twig dogwoods, and I got some pussy willows. All these things like a moist area, and like I said, right here it's very boggy in the early spring, so I think they'll be happy here, and hopefully they'll help hopefully they'll help dry out this area a little bit quicker. And over here we've kind of just let this area go, but again, I'm trying to make kind of like a hedgerow where these T-posts are, because we're gonna fence all this area, and that's why we're kind of just letting it grow up for feed for our herd of goats and our horse. But I'm gonna have a dividing hedgerow here, and this is going to be separated pastures that we can rotationally graze. We were mowing it, but honestly, we're just letting it do its thing. There's a lot of like little wildflowers and stuff out here that's good for pollinators, and so we're just keeping it long. The dogs also like to run through it and chase the bugs. I have some cranberries and viburnum, and there's little tree starts like pine. I really do got to come out here and just kind of get it under control. Hydrangea, there's more currants. I got some forsythia. So this is just going to be a big mixed hedgerow that's going to go all the way down to the pond. Focusing on some natives, some, what's the word? Some, like, I think they call them like woody type cutting things that I can use for cut flower arrangements, stuff like that. So we did plant a couple of years ago. I got some trees and they did not make it through the winter, but the sticks are still there, so I got to pull those. And yeah, so just, it's basically going to start here, and then it's going to go in a straight line this way. So basically I'm not trying to spend a ton of money on it. I basically will just go try, like, towards the end of the season, find clearanced plants that maybe don't look great, or whatever, and then I'll bring them home and I'll pop them in here just to make like a mixed hedgerow. So this whole area is new on this side of the fence. So here we plugged in some raspberries. Hey, get out of the flowers. And because the raspberries, obviously they're small and they haven't started to take off yet, I went ahead and plugged in some things. I direct seeded some rutabaga here. There's some zinnias that desperately need water. There's some more zinnias, and then a lot of bush beans. I really am trying to use up my older seed packets this year so I can restock and get new ones. I've got some purple potted pole beans that are going to go up this trellis. I have rows of celeriac right here. There's some golden beets right here. I've got some furrows of parsnips. This here is why can't I think? Well, what is this? Yeah, it's a rhubarb. There we go. I had cut it down to the ground and now it's pushing new growth. We've got, so I direct seeded some onions just to see, you know. These are asparagus that I started from seed, but there's also asparagus, what do you call it? The roots, that are all along here, and there's some over here. More bush beans all along the front, and then these here are, I splurged and got some of the Floret original precious metals zinnias to see how those do. So those are all them right there. Had really good germination, so I'm hoping they turn out really nice. But yeah, you can see like just bush beans all along here. I've got my sweet potatoes in here. This was a barrel that my husband got for free, and then we just cut it into 3 sections to make little raised beds. So we've got sweet potatoes on the back that the vines can climb up this little fence. And then I just scattered tons more bush beans in there. This is a Asian pear tree that I just picked up, and it's pushing growth, so that's good. I've got some melons along here that are doing okay. These were some extra tomatoes that I just stuck here. These are 2 that I transplanted, and this one's not looking too happy, but that's because it got really hot really fast. But I think it'll be okay. It just, it's struggling right now. But that's another Asian pear, the pollinator of that one. And then over there I've got an apple tree. So raised beds, if you look back on my old videos, it's when we were still living in Florida. I'm kind of structuring this garden the way that my Florida garden was, which is raised beds and very densely planted. Even though we have much more room now, it's just, this is the way that I'm deciding, like, I prefer to grow. I've done just like the regular raised beds, but because, not the raised beds, but like just raised soil and planting in. And for some things they do fine, but because we stay so wet in the early spring, last year I was very behind getting stuff in, waiting for stuff to dry out, where having it up in a box like this dries out faster. I can control the soil better, and I was able to get things in much earlier. So this is the route I'm gonna go for a lot of things. In this bed, I've got quite a variety of different like summer squashes. There's zucchinis in here. There's also some pumpkins. You can see they're starting to trail out. And then there's also some climbing varieties. That's hopefully what I can do, is get it to climb up. I will come and I'll start, once they start really putting on flowers, which they're just now starting to put little things. I'll come in and I'll really start cutting back some of the foliage and just opening it up a little bit. But there's also, this is also mainly jalapenos and nadapinos that are scattered in here as well. We've got some nasturtiums. How pretty. Yeah, but you can see we're just now starting. And then I also my phone overheated, so I have to redo this. But so left off here, I have some bunching onions that are interplanted down here too. So we're really starting to crank out now. And again, this is not powdery mildew. This is the surround kaolin clay, and lots of bird poop. They're using the trellises to sit and perch. That's okay. So here, this is in ground. Went ahead and put up a cattle panel attaching these two beds, and all along the back here are slicing tomatoes, and they're just now getting to the top, the bottom part of the trellis where I'm going to start tying them up. I've got, again, some kind of zucchini here. What? All right, Bear, come back. Come on, Bear. My dog is herding the bucks back in. They got out too far. Got some kale right here. There's some flat leaf parsley, zucchini. Got some basil, lettuce. I don't have anything planted here. Probably gonna put more basil or something there. More lettuce, some cosmos. I think that's it. Then we've got this bed. I've got some cucumbers. I have my favorite kind of zucchini summer squash, which is the tromboncino squash, and that is just now starting to put out some tendrils and climb. A lot of different peppers in this bed. These peppers are further along. I've already pulled off some small ones, but it's already pushing a lot of growth. So a lot of different mixed peppers in this bed. And then also some more pumpkins that can grow over the side. And I also have some lettuce that I have planted in between down here, just in the shade. Here, this is another in-ground. So these are my original beds, and this is how I was doing it, where they're just raised up a little bit. So these are all snapdragons down the middle that I've been cutting on. And then on each side, I've got my sauce paste tomatoes that you can see all along the side there, and then all along the side there. I've got some more purple basil planted. And then this is cinnamon basil planted here. This here is my early flush of potatoes. I've got two varieties. If I can find the tag. I know there's one, pretty sure one is Red Norland. So these are called the Eva Whites. I've never grown this kind before, but my local Agway had it, and they said it was really good. So I'm trying those. They're 90 to 100 days, and these went in the ground at the end of March. So I've got half of this row of those. Pretty sure these, it goes till about right here, because this is where I'm seeing white flowers. And then I don't see the other tag, but I'm pretty sure the rest of this row is Red Norlands. And I think the Red Norlands take a little bit longer, if I'm not mistaken, not sure. I also have, they're just now starting to get little buds. I've got some straw flowers also here. And I believe, yes, some anise hyssop, which is actually a perennial. So I might move those if they make it. I plugged in some strawberry starts here just like as a holding area. They're starting to put little flowers on. These are June bearing, so they're not going to really produce this year. I got them late. Stark Brothers had that clearance sale, so I just went ahead and got them because they were super cheap. And we're still working on building more beds. We're just kind of working as we can, and affordability obviously, but once I get a full idea of like the layout of what I want to do over here, I'll put a permanent raised bed just for strawberries. So I have 3 in this little box here, and then I also just plugged the rest of them right in here just so they could start putting on some growth. But these are the Sure Crop Strawberry June bearing, and we are in June right now, so they will produce next year. This is the apple tree that got transplanted. This one is much better than the other one I transplanted. And then I also pulled out a giant, this self-seeded. This was a chamomile, and we've already harvested, and I just stuck this here for now, and I'll harvest the rest of these. This is some kind of a squash, winter squash. Plugged 4 of those in here. These here are russet potatoes, and they take a lot longer because if you don't know, there's just like tomatoes, there's determinate varieties and then there's indeterminate varieties, where these ones here are determinate, meaning they are only going to produce a certain amount, so you don't really have to worry about hilling them up or anything. Bear, stay. Come here. Bear, stay. Come here. Come. Look. Look, want to pee? Come here. Come here. Look, I got treats. Want to pee? Oh, yum, yum. Russets are indeterminate, so you keep hilling them and they'll keep putting on tubers. So I've got just a little tiny section right here. Snap peas, obviously. Bear, now that he's going to find them, he's going to eat them all. These are self-seeded carrots, which is funny. I just stuck some twigs in the ground for the snap peas, but it's going to be like 95 degrees for the next 3 days. So these are not going to taste very good anyways, so he can eat them. What else have I got? Some more snapdragons. I started way too many snapdragons this year. I'm trying to love them. I don't typically love them. I planted them the first year we were here. I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I don't know if I like them. This is a crabapple that I picked up from Walmart last year, I believe. Let's see. It is, yep, it is the Robinson crabapple, and we're actually going to get crab apples on it this year. So that's exciting. Might be able to make some crabapple jelly if the birds don't get to them. These are 3 blueberries. I did have 6. I had planted them in the hedgerow, but the deer in the wintertime, they just wreck them. So I moved them over here. Probably going to have to go ahead and fence this in. Don't really have a problem with deer coming into the garden, which is surprising, and I'm hoping that I'm not going to jinx myself by saying that. I think it's a combination of they can smell that the dogs are over here, and the noises, like, you know, from coming from the barnyard. But they do come around the perimeter. You will see them like over there, and they go to the pond sometimes, and they're over back there. But in the winter time, it's kind of fair game, and they do come closer. So like the fruit trees that I had to move, they strip those every year. So I moved them in, and the blackberries. So probably gonna have to put a fence up. It's not like a huge priority right now, but I think as we get more permanent beds in here, because I would like to try to grow some things over the winter. Like last year I tried cabbages. I had them like right here in some landscape fabric, and the deer were nibbling on them in the winter time. So my hope is to make either some kind of like a hotbed situation, like a kind of a greenhouse bed, and be able to do some like cold tolerant things. But we're in summer right now, so I'm not going to think about that, even though I know it's going to go quick. And what else? I think that's pretty much it. There is an apricot tree here that we planted this year. I'm going to have to get a pollinator for that. This was my little makeshift greenhouse that we started to take down. This was like where everything was getting hardened off and kind of like the holding area. I do still have some basil and some dill, and there's some germander left to plant. And then I've got, you know, some fertilizers and lilac, my lovely but naughty girl. And yeah, there's some flowers in here. Oh yeah, we've got some more stalks. That's lovely. That's a beautiful color. I did, what is these? What are these? They're cauliflowers. The Romanesco cauliflowers I stuck in there, but I'm not sure if they're going to make it because, like I said, we're getting a heat wave. So, and what else? I don't know. These are just some random flowers and stuff. This is a dogwood. But yeah, so we're doing pretty good. You know, I think it's probably not going to happen all this season, but as time goes on, basically from where the hose is and then going like straight across like this, and then back, and then back, and then over, this pretty much is going to become my potager garden, food producing garden. And then back there where we were going to expand to is going to be mainly for like perennials, for cut flowers. That's kind of the direction I think that we've decided is probably going to be the best bet for us when it comes to utilizing this land and not needing to bring in a ton of like topsoil and all that kind of stuff because of just like the natural curves of it. So, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little impromptu tour. This is kind of just more of, for me, documenting. Last year I felt very behind. This year I feel more on the ball. Like, I think we're in a good spot. Things are producing, things are growing, and everything's looking good. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please let me know. I am growing in upstate New York, zone 5B, and hopefully we make it through this heat wave. And I'm saying that with a little smile on my face because we're from Florida and this is not not super hot. We're used to like, feels like 120 degrees, but 93, 95, that's hot for up here. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.